Hey, Mom.
And hello and welcome to Golden Bear Insider. Dan Flanagan, happy to be with you. First show of the year. A little bit of a different setup than what we've done the past couple years, but glad you were able to find us. We will hope to do one of these every month, get in coaches and student athletes like we have in the past from all the teams in season. May bring in a few other special guests over the course of the year as well, but a busy show this week as all the season's in full swing, and we're going to start out with the soccer team about a month into their season, coming off a big conference weekend on the road with a win and a draw. And we're joined by head coach Steve Bellis and senior Erica Landry. So thank you both very much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
And I guess for you, Steve, first of all, if you want to just kind of give me sort of your general takeaways from the first month, been able to get a lot of games in and seems to be picking up some more wins here over the past couple weeks.
Yeah, it's been a bit of a roller coaster of a season. You know, we haven't seen the consistencies that we would like for. But over the last weekend, obviously, we saw some improvement in the results and improvement in the performances. And the team's doing well. It's a very young team. We brought in 10 freshmen that have taken a little bit of time to kind of bed into how we play and the system and the formation, but also with the speed of play in our conference. So hopefully last weekend was a really good stepping stone for a good midway point in our season.
And Erica, one of the few upperclassmen on the team, like Coach talked about, what was kind of your mindset going into this year?
Well, I knew that we were going to have a very young team. We lost a lot of depth last year, but I think as being an older individual on the team, I had to take kind of the role to show the girls a little bit how we do things on our team, and they're getting used to it. They're taking into it, but we just need to keep going the way we're headed right now.
From your perspective, what's the biggest thing you kind of have to adjust to making that jump from high school to college soccer?
Definitely speed of play. You have to be able to think faster and play faster at the college level.
And, Coach, one of the freshmen that has been playing very well for you, especially recently, goalkeeper Emily Nelson, didn't allow a goal, has a long goalless streak now, earning goaltender of the week for her efforts last week. What has she been able to do to kind of find a rhythm for the team over the past few games?
Yeah, she's done well. I mean, definitely a turnaround from last season, where she redshirt for us. So she's worked hard in the off season. You could tell that she was significantly fitter. Her focus was higher, her concentration was higher, her confidence therefore was better. We lost, a couple of keepers with injuries, and she had an opportunity to play, and she's been fantastic. She's come in and done everything that she needed to do. She keeps us in games. She's athletic enough to kind of make those top corner saves now, and she's becoming braver off her line. She continues to work on the little things that'll make her game better, and kicking her. Distribution from the back, and she's been great. She had a great weekend last weekend.
I guess for both of you, you've been able to outshoot teams so far this year. You're the opposition more shots on goal. How do you kind of convert more of those shots and possession you're getting into actual good scoring opportunities?
Soccer's a cruel game. We have created a lot of chances and we've taken a lot of shots, but unfortunately, we've either come across really good goalkeepers, or we just haven't got the ball close enough to the net before we shoot, and we took a lot of long distance shots. So we've been working a little bit on combining and getting closer to goal and making sure that our opportunities on goal are a little closer and that we stick them away. So hopefully that continues.
And talking with Erica a little bit about it, how have you kind of leaned on the seniors this year, knowing you have such a young team, only a couple seniors on the roster?
They're good leaders, the seniors. Good kids as well, I think. Great student athletes. All of them do well on and off the field. I haven't really had to say too much to them, but we meet, a couple of times a week and kind of stress the things that we'd like from the team. And as seniors and captains and leaders, they've been able to work with the younger squad and improve how they play. They're a good group. I've never had a problem with them at all, and they push hard. We're all on the same page. We all want to win, and we all want to do it the right way. And I think that's important.
And Erica, for you, talking a little bit again about what Emily Nelson's been able to do, especially when the team's been having some issues at times offensively. How much confidence does it give you to see that type of goalie play and know you maybe only need one to get a win?
It gives us a great amount of confidence. I mean, she really has stepped up to the plate these past couple games. It was a little nerve-wracking because we did have injuries on all 3 keepers at one point, and it gets a little scary, but she's really stepped up to the plate and proven herself well for our team, and we all have very high confidence in her.
I guess for both of you, too, still quite a few games left, certainly, but you're kind of right on the fringes of that top 8, which you certainly focus on to get into the conference tournament. How much do you pay attention to that at this point in the year, or are you just really trying to focus on playing better and let that take care of itself?
It's hard not to focus on it. It's a results-based industry, the standings, and it's hard not to look at the standings. But obviously you try and take one game at a time, and every game's very different in our conference, very competitive. Very physical, but every team's got their own little nuances, and you have to know a little bit about each team. So it's hard not to just go one game at a time, but the bigger picture obviously is to make sure that we're in the conference playoffs at the end of the season, and hopefully maybe in the top 4 so we can host a conference playoff.
Erica, from your perspective, is something the players are paying much attention to?
I know it's something I'm paying attention to just because it's my last year. I really want to finish strong and actually get the result that we had last year, but maybe make it a little bit further. I think a lot of everybody is pretty much on the same page with that and wanting to get to the conference tournament.
You had the 3 non-conference games, played all of those on the road, did some traveling at the beginning, and unfortunately didn't get the results you wanted to in those. But how much did that, maybe with such a young team, help to kind of do some longer road trips and everybody get the chance to bond early in the year?
Yeah, it's great. I mean, you're just spending all your time with each other, so it really gets the chemistry flowing, and you get to know each other really well, and it helps on the field as well.
There were 2 good games as well. The 2 games in St. Louis were good teams. The speed of play was quick, so we were right in at the deep end. 2 teams that'll do well in the conference. I haven't checked actually, but I presume they're doing well so far. And then the away trip to Viterbo. Viterbo's always a tricky game. Very, very fast, very physical, and it kind of matches up with a couple of teams in our conference. So we got a good look at the whole squad. We got to play a lot of players and kind of return from those non-conference games knowing, the size and strength of our squad, but also the strength of some of the players that we brought in as well.
And just kind of with these few weeks coming up, what are the main things you want to see the team work on and continue to grow as you make that push toward trying to get to the top 8 and hopefully postseason play?
Just winning.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's you're at that point in the season where we're halfway through. Games are going to come thick and fast. There isn't really a lot of time to kind of prepare practice-wise because we've got a lot of Friday games and a lot of Sunday games, so we travel a little bit as well. So really the main focus is winning and doing the right things that'll get us the wins. We'd like to play the right way, obviously, and our way, possessing the ball when we can and getting a lot of shots off and being defensively tight. But in all honesty, we're at the point where we just want to take some wins. So, yeah.
All right. Well, good luck to both of you going forward, and appreciate you joining me here today.
Thanks, Dan. Appreciate it. Thank you. Thanks,
Head coach Steve Bellis and Erica Landry from the soccer team, as we will have some of the webcasts coming up. We're able to get some of the early season matches for you, but home matches, we hope to have the rest of those available to webcast. You can certainly check out the schedule, cugoldenbears.com, for the rest of the month. There will be a few on the schedule, and definitely check that out from Seafoam Stadium as Concordia makes their push through the latter part of the regular season. So we will encourage you to check that out. We continue on here with Golden Bear Insider. Dan Flanagan with you. We will get into cross country now. The cross country team off to a very strong start, coming off their biggest meet, regular season meet of the season, the Roy Griak, a few weeks ago, and joined by both head coach Jonathan Breitbarth, sophomore Caleb Trow, and thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks. And, Coach, you've been able to see on both the men's and women's side quite a bit of improvement in times, as you always like to see through these early meets. And what do you think has kind of allowed for that? And have you been happy with the level of improvement that you've seen from race to race?
Yeah, first of all, we're blessed this year with a larger team. And we've been able to have individuals in practice really kind of train off of each other. Everybody is different, and one day one guy's body might be feeling better than another guy's, and he kind of pulls the group along. And then the next day it might be the other guy that kind of pulls the group along. So those improvements really, you see them at the meets. Those are the measuring sticks. But it's a day-to-day process in improvement. It also helps that our team as a whole really put more emphasis on the summer training and did a lot more in and around summer training this year to prepare themselves to be able to have a good start to the season.
And what kind of changes did you make in terms of the summer training?
Just having more. Well, to be honest, there wasn't a lot of changes directly that we made as coaches. We had a lot more, from my understanding, and Caleb can talk to it, a lot more from the athletes communicating with each other and kind of holding each other accountable and being in touch with each other, and that really helps to drive it. So that, to me, that was the biggest change, was more of a inner team communication going on, not just simply coaches, sending out potential workouts and that type of thing. The NCAA does limit us as coaches during our summer training. We can't have any required work, and that's really where the athletes have to take some ownership in it, and they didn't just take ownership as individuals, but more so as a collective group.
And Caleb, you're able to set a tone early, and kind of what Coach is talking about with so many different runners that can step up. Certainly a sport like distance running can be a daily grind and something you have to fight through at times. How much does it help to sort of have teammates pushing you and sort of, that drive to always get better and have a different person lead the way each time?
Oh, yeah. Well, it's crazy having all these teammates because, like Coach said, any day somebody can be feeling good and lead a workout. So it's not like last year where it's like we had less guys, so the same person's always leading every workout. And in a race, it's like you've got the same pack to go with, so through the halfway point of the race, that you're going to be feeling good and going with your teammates, and then you just see what happens from that point on. So it makes a world of difference having teammates as opposed to running on your own a lot.
And you're just a sophomore, but a lot of freshmen on the team, so I imagine you were able to take on somewhat of a leadership role. Having a year of experience, was it kind of nice for you, even though you're still relatively new in your time here at Concordia, to take on a little bit of leadership and guide some of the freshmen a little bit?
Yeah, I'd like to think I have kind of a leadership role in the team, and that's something I embrace. It's great having all these freshmen, and I just see tons of potential in this team in the future.
The team was able to win a race on the men's side a few weeks ago and get the individual honor as well. How much did that mean, just sort of for confidence, to see that type of result, first time in a few years that Concordia's program had picked up a win in a meet?
Yeah, that was awesome. That race was won by Cole Oslin, a freshman on this team, so it was really cool to see that. That was the first time in a while for the team, and we won the whole meet against, I don't remember how many other teams. It was double digits, I think. So it was a big deal for this program, and it was a real confidence booster for this team. But it's important for us to remember that there's a long season left, and we're really going to go for that top half of the conference come the end of the year.
And Coach, with all the talented freshmen, the numbers up a little bit as you were going out and kind of recruiting leading into this season, what types of things were you looking for, and how were you able to find some of these talented runners?
Well, you had to ask Caleb earlier about leadership, and one thing that really sets him apart is not just simply leadership, but vision. The team we have right now has really been, and the results we're seeing right now has really been a 15-month process of being able to take 4 or 5 guys and have this vision of a larger team, 13 to 15 guys, a number of guys who are similar in ability, and the opportunity to capitalize on that. We've for a year we've actually kind of talked about the vision of being able to have the single greatest 1-year turnaround in men's NSIC cross country, and we'll find out how that shapes up in 2 weeks or so. The Roy Griak Invitational, we beat the number of teams. The greatest turnaround in 1 year was Southwest 3 years ago. They had a 4-team improvement. Right now we're sitting at a 5-place improvement from what we did at Griak, plus then we've got a couple teams right in front of us that we're really going after. So it's a vision. It's not just simply leadership and doing the day-to-day deal, but imagining what can be and then really going out and working for it.
And on the women's side, too, also a lot of younger runners, and I know their times have been improving quite a bit. Have you been pretty happy with the way things have gone on that side as well?
Yeah, the thing that is going to come together and the opportunity the ladies have here at the end of the year is get together and do a little more pack running. The guys came in because of their summer training already kind of in packs because they had kind of done their summer training. Our women's side, there was a little more of a difference between the summer training, which kind of provided a time where they were a little more separated. As the workouts have gone on, we've gotten more workouts where they're running together, and that's really going to be that as that gap continues to close, as they're in a race and they see their teammate right there in front of them, that kind of pulls them along, and that's really where this improvement is coming from. And they've got a great opportunity here these last couple of meets of the season to really get together and capitalize on running together as a group and having that small gap between their 1 and 5 runner.
I know from talking to you in previous years, the GRIAC meet you guys always circle in a pretty fun environment. How did that chance for fans to come out and watch you run? How did that come together this year? What was the atmosphere like?
Well, the one thing about cross country is there are some elements that come into play, and the Wednesday before the GRIAC was the night that the Twin Cities got hammered with rain. So it was muddy and slick out there. Even the fans that were out there to watch had to go around a number of temporary lakes, so to speak, or temporary ponds that were sitting there on the course. But it was a great turnout, and it helps to have so many individuals on the team. That also brings out more fans to the meet because of family and friends, and I feel like for the team we have, for a young team, our athletes ran really composed and very mature, and that is a meet. It's such a big meet that the focus can be lost. You can lose yourself out there, and I feel like our team really ran mature and smart and within themselves throughout the whole race.
Caleb, is that something you find? I'm sure it is a lot of fun to race in that, but with wanting to put on a nice show for the family and friends who are watching you, is it kind of a challenge to slow yourself down, not try to get out going too fast or anything like that?
Yeah, that was one of the main points for the GRIAC meet, was that the coaches were telling us was to slow down at the beginning. JB was actually just telling me a little earlier that if the race would have ended 1K into the race, we would have been dead last. So we really slowed it down at the beginning, but it paid off in the end. And it's hard not to want to be out in front for your friends and family, but at the end, it's better to be in the top quarter of the race. So.
And certainly, happy with the way things have gone so far, but you want to target the meets coming up here with conference and regionals. Those will be in the next few weeks. And how are you preparing the team now to go about and try to get a strong result? Both of those will be at Augustana coming up late October, early November.
Well, the courses now have kind of switched from hills and mud to hopefully flat, firm surfaces. We've got St. Cloud State this Friday, and then we go to Sioux Falls for the NSIC and the Central Regional meets in 2 weeks and in 4 weeks. And because of that, our training also has switched kind of from a volume base to a sharpening, more intense base. And then we'll take that short time before the conference meet and the region meet to do what's called a taper, to really make sure our body is prepared, maximum muscle force out of our legs, that they're prepared to be as efficient as possible for every stride. The power is going to be there. So that's really how the training has switched. But the focus, that's the physiology. But we continue to talk about making sure that we're running together as a group. Another thing we've kind of stressed this year is being solution oriented. You don't know, even at the start line, you don't know what's going to happen in a race, and whatever comes up, you got to find a solution. You got to figure out a way around the challenge that's in front of you. And so we take each day one day at a time. There's things that come up that weren't expected, and we need to find a solution to get past them, to keep working towards that conference and region meet.
And Caleb, for you coming off of last year, what was kind of the biggest thing you learned about pacing yourself throughout the season and making sure you're ready for those meets at the end, and what you can maybe pass along to some of the freshman runners?
Yeah, so last year at the conference meet, I really got out way too fast. I was just hoping to do some things I wasn't quite ready to do. I would just tell the freshmen to relax and run within themselves for these big races like this, like the conference championships. Like I said, our team's going for one of the top 6 spots in the conference, which would be a big deal. So it's important for them all to run within themselves and also run together, and we'll do well.
All right, well, appreciate both of you joining us. Good luck coming up in those meets. I'm sure we'll talk to you about it next month.
Thank you for having us.
Jonathan Breitbarth and Caleb Trow here on Golden Bear Insider as the cross-country conference and regional meets coming up shortly over the next 2 to 4 weeks, as we talked about. And certainly, again, you can check out the schedule for cross-country, all the sports on cugoldenbears.com. Get all the information you need on Concordia Athletics. So we are going to continue on with a lot of fall sports in action right now and talk some football here, as we will be joined by head coach Shannon Currier, senior running back Darius Chaps. The football team off to a 2-3 start. They will be at Minnesota State coming up this Saturday, and then back home the week after that against Upper Iowa. We've gotten 3 home games in already, and we've had the coverage of all of those for you. We'll have the last 2 home games as well, but happy to be joined here by Coach Currier, Darius Chaps as well. Thank you both very much for being here today.
Thank you for the opportunity to be with you.
Yeah, thank you.
And Coach, the team able to get off to a very fast start, had the wins in the first 2 games, and very competitive effort at home against a traditional power in Minnesota Duluth. What do you think was the key to the team getting out of the gates pretty strongly?
I think we had a real productive fall camp. Our players did a nice job of coming together, believing in our culture, and we've really been able to establish a real solid culture with our football team. Our players are doing a great job off the field, and the leadership's been phenomenal. You know, we were able to be good enough on defense to win the first game, and then we gel a little bit more on offense the second game, and then third game we seemed like they had a lot of things happening there and some big plays, a lot of momentum, a good crowd. You know, all led to a real close game with Duluth, and then we just haven't played quite as well the last 2 games, but we're bouncing back this week and expecting greater things to come to us real soon.
And Darius, going into your senior year, certainly dealing with the coaching change this year, new coaching staff, how were you kind of able to build that bond with the coaches and develop that trust in the new staff, trust in your teammates so quickly?
Well, for us as a team, I think that was just kind of a testament to what Coach Currier did and the staff he brought in. They came in with open arms. They came in with a culture and attitude they wanted to set, and we kind of embraced it as a team. Of course, we weren't as open to the new coaches, the new coaching staff and the coaches when they first came in, but we got to hear Coach Currier when he came in. We saw the things he was doing. We saw how passionate he was for the game. So that alone made it easy for us to buy into his program and the culture he wanted to bring here. And when we were looking for a leader and we were looking for someone who could take us in the right direction and turn the ship around, I think he came in and he did a good job of that. And the players were real open to taking in what he had to say and building this program up from where it was and build it on the rock, as Coach says.
And the last 2 games, as you mentioned, the level not quite as where you'd wanted it to be. What have you seen, in looking at film and sort of analyzing those past 2 games that you want to try to correct and take forward going into Mankato this Saturday?
The first loss or the first game where we didn't play as well as that Northern State against a very good Northern State team. I think they had some first place finish votes for the year in the North. And they had a good defense. 9 seniors start on their defense. We just didn't win the line of scrimmage in those games. I mean, we're an extremely young football team, and not to create excuses, but we have 2 freshmen playing, starting, 2 other true freshmen playing in the rotation in the offensive line, 2 sophomores, 1 senior. So we weren't able to win the line of scrimmage. Too much pressure on our quarterback, and I think the last 2 games we put a lot of emphasis on him making big plays like he did earlier in the year, and we need to do a better job of getting this young man the ball here. We're going to try to get him up to 20 carries or more and try to run the football. And so, we're changing philosophically a little bit as we move through the season. We want to be in more cleaner plays. When we're 3rd and long, and then we're in plays that are a little more riskier. And this past game certainly was the turnovers that got us. And we had 6 turnovers, 5 on their side of the field. And it's real difficult to be successful when you give the opponent the ball in great field position. So we're going to have cleaner plays, play a little more fundamentally sound going forward, give our defense a better chance as well with not turning the ball over. And I thought we played a really nice defensive game this past week, even though there was points scored. It was the fault of us turning the ball over on offense. But we're excited about another challenge, and we know there's a game that's going to come up that we're going to win and get that momentum change, and we believe it's this weekend.
And you mentioned trying to get Darius the ball, and among the leaders in the country in yards per carry. He had certainly gotten a decent amount of carries the past couple of years in a little more of a platoon role. You inserted him in that primary running back spot right from the beginning. What did you kind of see in looking at past games, or maybe in the practices leading up to the season, that made you confident he could handle that role?
Well, first of all, we watched last year's video and saw the running backs that we have, and I think the first thing I've noticed about Darius is his work ethic and the things he does, beyond what everybody else does. I mean, he's the guy that stays after practice and does extra drills. His desire is phenomenal. I think there was a highlighted run this past week where he dove, forward for a first down. He's willing to do anything it takes to be successful. So he's not only in terms of his play, but his attitude, his leadership skills. He's the guy that'll stand up and say things to the team. And he's respected because he's doing all the right things. He's modeling the behavior that we're looking for. And then obviously he's showing the abilities to run hard and be productive, and he turns a small gain into something bigger. And he's a guy, he's a workhorse, a guy that we definitely need to get the football to more, and that's something we've acknowledged here over the last couple weeks.
And Darius, what kind of work did you do in the off season with a new quarterback coming in, some new offensive linemen, as Coach talked about? You were certainly familiar with the program, but kind of to build a good chemistry with those other players on the offense.
When everybody got back from where they were for summer, we came together as a group. After lifting, we'd lift in the morning, then we'd hit the field, and we'd go over our concepts, and we'd get some linemen in and work on steps and timing and everything. It was really good to get some of the players there during summer to help build on that. Although we look forward to in the future for the program for more players to come for the summer, so we can create more chemistry and bonding. But as far as this past summer, we did a good job of even the receivers coming together, working on their concepts and routes, because the better they get, the more the box opens for me. So I want everybody to be successful because that helps me be successful. So.
And you've done a good job through the games I've seen of fighting for extra yards, building up that yards per carry average, but also avoiding fumbles, avoiding putting the ball on the ground as you're kind of fighting for extra yards. How do you balance that, being aggressive, trying to get as much as you can, with also making sure you have that ball security?
For me, that's just come over my career as a whole. I've always put an emphasis on ball security. I think our position coach, Coach Reed Johnson, does a good job preaching ball security and helping us out in drills with that. And I think it's kind of a mindset thing as far as being aggressive while holding onto the ball. And I think that the more you put emphasis on that, the easier it is.
And Coach, your second stint here with Concordia and had been out of coaching for a few years. As you kind of came into this year, I'm sure you had an idea of how things were going to go, things you wanted to accomplish. What's been the biggest surprise for you, I guess, through these first 5 games with how things have gone?
Well, I just think the way the players embraced the new philosophy, the new culture, their buy-in has been really well appreciated by our staff. So that's helped us maybe have some really success. And obviously it's a challenge every week, when in the last couple of games we haven't won and our players have stayed united, and we just have to keep the course. It's a process. Keep expecting better things to happen. We can't make excuses about we're young or this or that. We got to find ways to try to compete right now. It's not fair to Darius or other seniors if we're trying to look ahead. We want to be successful today. So I think that's been great, and I've also just appreciated getting to know guys like him and trying to just appreciate those relationships more than before. And we have a lot of quality kids, and I find myself just trying to spend more time talking to them about stuff off the field. And I think we're really trying hard to make sure we're setting these kids up for opportunities after they're done playing football, because it's 4 years and then he's out here. So we have to try to do things that's going to make their life easier when they're done playing for us. So I've enjoyed that part of it too. And obviously I think that winning will come with us continuing to do the things we know are right and focus on our plan.
And Darius, I'm sure it's helpful for the team coming off a couple losses where you're trying to find some motivation. You get a rival like Minnesota State, chance to really get things turned around from a mental perspective and get a big road win coming up on Saturday.
Yeah, it is. We look forward to playing a good team at a real good environment. It's their homecoming, and so we believe there'll be a great atmosphere. I think our team right now we thrive playing playing good teams. We play up to that level, as you might have seen with Duluth. So I think everyone seemed to be on track this week. Everyone had good energy, positive, looking to make plays this week and bounce back.
And Coach, for you, obviously, besides picking up the wins, which is the ultimate goal, what kind of things could happen over the next month that would cause you to consider this October a success as that you look for the team to continue to grow?
I mean, our main goal every week is to have our personal best performance. I thought we did on defense this past Saturday, and we don't control the wins and losses, or other factors that are out there, and we really just want to keep seeing improvement. We want to keep seeing improvement in our play. We want to be able to execute our offense faster, play defense faster. We certainly have to secure the football. We started off the year with 0 turnovers in the first couple games, or maybe 1 in the second game, 0 in the third game. We had 2 in the fourth, and then 6. So that's something we have to improve on, obviously, and see less big plays against our defense. We want to have more of an impact on special teams going forward. So I think just improved play, seeing our guys have their personal best performances from one week to the next. And if we do that, I know good things will happen, and we'll feel good about our results.
All right, well, appreciate both of you joining me here today, and good luck coming up over the next month.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate the opportunity.
Shannon Currier, Darius Chaps with me here on Golden Bear Insider. And again, the football team in action this coming Saturday at Minnesota State. Our next webcast will be a week from Saturday when they are home against Upper Iowa at noon. So you can check those out through cugoldenbears.com, and certainly the away games available as well can be seen through the conference website, northernsun.org. So continue on. Dan Flanagan with you here on this October edition of Golden Bear Insider, and we're glad you've been able to find us, our first show of the fall season here. And again, a lot of sports to cover, and the volleyball team off to another fantastic start with just 1 loss on the season so far. We're joined by head coach Brady Starkey, senior Riley Hansen. Appreciate your time here today.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for having us.
And Coach, for you, I'm sure high expectations certainly going into this year with a senior heavy roster and players that were familiar with each other. A lot of success in previous years, but team really hitting the ground running. Didn't drop a set through the first several matches, getting a lot of early success. Were you surprised by the degree to which it came together so quickly in the matches?
Well, I thought we had a good spring, and so I kind of thought that we would carry over into the fall, and the girls did a pretty good job of taking what we kind of worked on a lot this spring and running with that this fall, just starting off our season and stuff. So I didn't know that we would be winning so many matches in 3-0 fashion and stuff like that, just because that usually doesn't happen, especially with kind of the schedule I think that we put out there for our girls to play. So we had a tough schedule, but the girls have handled it well and really done a great job so far early in the season.
I guess if both of you can just speak to how much the continuity has helped, having so many seniors that have a familiarity on the floor and have played together for so many years out there.
Yeah, I think for them, it's we only changed out 2 kids basically, and Donna was still a part of our rotation before, both middles that are taking the place for Heather and stuff have actually got to play with us all spring and stuff like that. So really, it's just almost like having the same exact starting lineup that we had last year. So.
And Riley, I imagine that was quite a spark for the players too out there, knowing what everybody's going to do.
Yeah, absolutely. I think just the familiarity that we have with each other and how we play has been a great attribute to how the beginning of our season has gone.
And you mentioned Emily McDonough, certainly familiar with the team, but in a new role this year in that libero spot. She had battled some injuries as an outside hitter, but certainly a much different role for her. And how do you think she's been able to transition to that so effectively right from the beginning?
Well, I think she's done a great job, and that's for Donna. That was always her strength, was her back row skills and stuff, her ability to handle the ball on serve, receive, and then she was always a great defender. So it really was kind of a natural role for her to go play. She decided that she didn't want to hit anymore just because of kind of the wear and tear, I think, on her body from the injury that she sustained and stuff. And for us, it was kind of a perfect scenario, a perfect role for her to take over. I think the other thing that she's really added is just a general confidence and lightness to the court. She just has a really good persona out there, and she's a very confident kid in what she does out there, so she really brings a lot to the table for our team.
You get off to that great start that we talked about. Have you been pretty happy with the way the team has been able to progress over the course of the season so far as well?
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, I feel like we're improving in areas. I think we're improving in our blocking, which is kind of a big point of emphasis for us. And defensively too. I mean, we're finding different ways to beat teams rather than just with our offense. Our offense has been pretty solid, but it's something that we've had a couple off nights and we've still been successful and stuff like that. I think that we're just trying to make sure that we keep pushing and focusing, on being able to play in more pressure situations and stuff. I think that for us, a big point of emphasis that we're trying to make is we're trying to get tougher at serving, and we've had lapses of that happening well. I'd say that probably really cost us in our last match. And so that's something I think that we're going to have to focus on getting better at as the season goes here, because really the game is always won in volleyball between the serve and pass area. And so if you're not serving well, you're not taking the other team out of system, and then it becomes really difficult against some of the better offensive teams. So.
And you mentioned the serving and the one loss that you had this last week against Minnesota Duluth, a back-and-forth match, as it always is with them, lose it in 5 sets. And certainly that was, I guess, the most obvious thing is some of the service errors in the 5th set. Was there anything else that you noticed as kind of just the little small difference between the two teams in that match?
I think really more just than anything is that was the serve and pass battle that we kind of lost. I think that they won it for 2 sets. We won it for 2 sets, and then they definitely won it in the 5th set with the serve and pass battle. And so that was just something that, when you play 2 teams that are as offensive as both of our teams, it's really difficult to defend against teams that are in system the whole time. And so if you can't get them out of system, you're going to have a rough night. And they did a better job of getting us out of system for 3 games, and we did a really good job in 2 of them. So, that's kind of the difference in the match.
And Riley, certainly with how high the level of volleyball in this conference is, you're going to get some stretches like this, but you have Duluth last weekend. You have a very tough road trip coming up with 2 nationally ranked teams this weekend, and then when you come back home, you get Southwest Minnesota State right away. So certainly a very difficult portion of the schedule. How do you kind of navigate that and, do the best you can to stay focused on one match at a time?
I think I personally love it. I think that's what's great about our conference is that every single game, every single match, you have to show up and you have to compete, and that just really translates to further on in the season. Once you get to those championship games or whatever, it helps having the competition every single weekend, every single match that we're going to have in the next 2 weeks and that we've had these past few weeks. So.
With so many players coming back, including yourself, how much of a sort of springboard was the way last season ended, where you had a lot of success, but one match away from going to the Final 8, falling on your home floor to Wayne State? Did that kind of leave a taste in your mouth and sort of maybe lead to this hot start, really wanting to try to bounce back and have a strong year coming off of that last season?
Absolutely did. I think it just, it makes us want to work harder. It makes us want to dig and look at what we need to get better at. And I think coming back with that familiarity of our team, it allows us to really focus on those specifics, whereas we already have the aspect of we know how each other play, we're familiar with that, so then we can really focus on more of the specifics of our game. And I think that's what we're really trying to do this season.
And certainly, as I've talked about, a lot of returners, but one of the new players, freshman Sarah Mosick, has seen a lot of time, played well in your position there in the middle. And kind of what have you seen from her that's led to her success, and how have you tried to help her along so far this season?
She's been doing great. She's just an athlete, and she can jump. And she's been able to really take off. And I guess the speed of the game has come really naturally to her. And I think for me, I've just been trying to create an example for her in the other middle spot, and just try and share with her just the expectations of our team and of the middle position, more so probably through example than necessarily teaching. But.
And finally, for you, Coach, you get the road trip I referenced. You have Augustana and Wayne State coming up this weekend, 2 nationally ranked teams. What's the biggest thing you want to see out of the team, and what figures to be 2 very difficult matches?
Well, just really focusing on coming ready to actually compete. When you're going in those places, teams always play better at home, and it's something that you've really got to come with a mindset that you're there to play volleyball and you're there to compete. And so hopefully our girls kind of bring that attitude with them, that they're ready to get down and fight with a team that's 2 teams that are going to both be really strong. So.
Brady Starkey, Riley Hansen, appreciate you both for joining me here today.
Thanks
Thank you
for
very
having
much.
us.
And volleyball team again with that road weekend coming up. They'll be home the following week, have 3 matches in a row at home over the span of a few days. So we'll have, as we have throughout the season, the coverage of those available through the website again, cugoldenbears.com. So thanks to Brady Starkey and Riley Hansen. We will continue on here as we talk a little bit about the golf team, joined by head coach Taylor Ahmad and also senior golfer Chance Myers as well. So appreciate you both for joining us here today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And have you been pretty happy, Coach, with the way the team has progressed on both the men's and women's side, getting down to the final few meets here of this fall season?
Yeah, I think both teams, safe to say, we kind of it was a little slow start. But I think we're progressing how we kind of want to. I know the teams want to obviously score better as a team overall. There's a couple individuals like Chance and Sophie last weekend or 2 weekends ago that are performing well, but it's just coming together as a team and getting those numbers a little bit lower. You know, for the men, under 300 is their goal. For the women, under 320 is their goal. So it's, you know, getting that first round score a little bit lower and keeping up with the rest of the field.
And Chance, for you, Coach referenced you had a very good tournament in this most recent one here, ending a couple days ago. What was kind of the key to your performance in those rounds?
Yeah, it was a lot of game planning. I was kind of lacking on it in earlier tournaments, and just kind of going off my experience of the course and understanding where the good is to put the ball and missing the right spots. It's a huge key, and I knew that, and I took advantage of the holes that I had to. Leaned on my experience and moved on from there. So it was a really good weekend.
We've been able to have pretty good weather here these past couple weeks. Certainly this time in the fall season, it can get dicey certain years. How much has that helped the team to go out there and just have the good weather? I'm sure makes it easier to get out there and practice every day.
Definitely. You never know what the Minnesota fall and winter is going to throw at you. The weather has been above and beyond anything we could imagine this year compared to the years past. As a senior, I've seen the worst of the worst, and this year's probably been the best of the best. You got to take advantage of the days that you have to practice outside, and then take advantage of the days in tournaments to shoot well when the winds are down and the temperatures are high.
You led the way in this last tournament. You've had freshman Noah Rosinski that put up some very good numbers early on in the season. What did you kind of see from him? And I'm sure that had to feel good for the team to see someone have success so early like he did.
Yeah, he had a lot of competitive experience coming in. He played in a lot of high tournaments when he was in high school against some very competitive players that are at a level above him right now, and I think he's battling to get to where he wants to be right now. He's shown a lot of experience as a freshman. He's already growing to be a team leader and really building his way up on this team, and it's something that we all love, and it works well with the team chemistry as well. So it's great to see the good golf coming on.
And Coach, what was sort of your focus right at the beginning of the season, coming off the training over the summer? What were you hoping to see from the team right off the bat this season?
I watched a lot of them play over the summer, and I saw a lot of good things. And then I also tried to focus on, what we were going to hone in and work on. I saw a lot of good ball striking and a lot of good putting. So just working on short game, right around the greens. So I think overall, men's and women's teams, that's kind of what we've been working on. And then just mental game too, preparation, getting prepared for each tournament, making sure your pre-shot routine is the same thing every single time. So I think that's really what they've been working on, and just trying to stay out of your own way on the golf course and not getting in your own head. I think that's really what both teams have been working on. You can see obviously in Chance it's been paying off. So I think we'll see a lot lower scores the next 2 tournaments.
And on the women's side, you certainly had some talented seniors coming back, and after graduating Rachel Gray, who had kind of led the way through the end of last season, were you happy with the way they were able to step up and kind of help continue on that transition for the team?
Yeah, I think there's a lot more potential from both Brittany and Savannah. I think Savannah's obviously been playing a little bit better. We were a little disappointed that we didn't get to play the last 18 holes of the tournament this past weekend. I know our girls like to play in the rain. They like to battle through it. We practice in the rain. We do whatever we can, and I think there was going to be some lower scores if we did get to play. So I think, Savannah's been stepping up, and, Brittany's working really hard. So I think you'll see a little bit lower scores from her in our last tournament coming up here. So, yeah, they've been working hard, and I'm proud of them. They are very good leaders, so I'm very proud of them.
And from what you've seen in these tournaments throughout the fall, have you been pretty happy with how the teams matched up with other key programs kind of from the conference, from the region, and certainly that'll be important once you get into the spring?
Yeah, it's actually a really big surprise this season. I think Chance can attest, especially on the men's side. There's some teams that we expected to play really well this season, and some teams that weren't even on our radar are winning tournaments. So I think on the men's side especially, it's been a very even playing field. So it does give us that opportunity to step up, especially with our conference only being in the spring. Gives us a little bit more time to prepare. So I think it'll be a really good spring season, and we know what we need to do to prepare.
And Chance, with that coach, that change that coach referenced with the conference all being in the spring, it had been split between the fall and the spring in previous years. What do you try to get out of these fall tournaments? Then you obviously want to put up the good numbers, make an early statement, but knowing that the really important rounds are still quite a ways away, coming up in a few months.
Yeah, for sure. This fall season, we have a very competitive schedule. We're going south a little bit more than we had in the past to compete with the regional teams. I think the NSIC, we always had a little bit of a disadvantage with the weather up here, playing against the teams in the south, which would be Oklahoma and Texas. And we have tournaments this fall that we can compare ourselves to these teams and figure out what are they doing a little bit better than us that we can improve on. And then once we get to the spring, we'll have the experience to handle ourselves the way we should and go about our business to try to win conference and make it to regionals.
And Coach, 2 meets left on the men's side, one for the women here in this fall season. What's the biggest thing you want to see out of those rounds?
Just overall team performance, getting those scores lower. Because we've had, Noah played well the first 2 tournaments, and Chance played well this tournament. And I can see a couple guys, they all want it, and they all want to shoot those low scores. So I think that's the biggest thing, is just coming together as a team and posting a low number. We've done it a couple times, just getting it, all 2 rounds or all 3 rounds or however many rounds we have. So same from the women's side, their average, is improving by 15 strokes from the second day from the first day to the second day. And I think just, having 2 good days, that's really what's going to be the key for this next tournament.
All right. Well, appreciate both of you joining us. Good luck here wrapping up the fall season.
Thank you.
Taylor Alman and Chance Myers here on Golden Bear Insider as we continue on with the show here for the month of October. And we will close it out talking about lacrosse. The lacrosse team ready to begin their inaugural season coming up in February. They just released the schedule a few weeks ago on CUGoldenBears.com, so certainly excited to have those matchups coming up over the next few months. But a little check-in with that. We're joined by head coach Mo Dunnigan, also senior Callie Laval, and thank you both for joining us here today.
Absolutely. Thanks for having us.
And I guess, kind of just what have you, since getting everyone back together here for the school year in September, as I mentioned, don't have any actual matchups coming up until February, but what have you been working on over the course of the fall to kind of get everyone ready to go?
Yeah, so with our inaugural roster, inaugural program, it's, we're really bringing it back down to the basics, starting with the fundamentals, and it's a pretty unique opportunity to be able to, fine-tune everything the way our coaching staff wants to from the very beginning. With every single player. So we've been focusing a lot on the fundamentals, and we just started implementing some of our systems, which is exciting to get into. But we're really relying heavily on our athleticism and our team chemistry, which is something that I think our team definitely has a pretty good advantage at.
And you've been able to kind of finalize the roster. You announced 2 assistant coaches relatively recently. What did you kind of see from those 2 coaches that can kind of help you out and set the tone for the team this year?
Absolutely. I'm really excited about our coaching staff. We have a really well-balanced group that brings something different to the table on every single respect. Emily, who's an All-American Division II athlete who came from a program that built and grew into what they are now, has a ton of insight from the player's perspective. And then Amy Keynes, who played on the professional side in the men's game, we really look to capitalize on some of their systems and the way they move the ball and bring it over into our women's field game. And so with the 3 of us and my experience with founding programs and building programs, I think we have a good opportunity for success quick.
starting to sense more and more excitement from the players as you get closer and they start to feel these games approaching?
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely think so. The girls, it was finally, because we, like I said, started with a lot of the fundamentals, and once we actually got into our systems and we just actually had our first fall game, that was to really kind of see their hard work pay off and come to fruition so quick has been pretty exciting for them. So.
And Callie, for you, transferring in after being at Grand Valley State for a couple years from this area, from Burnsville, what kind of attracted you to coming back to the Twin Cities and playing here at Concordia?
I really wanted to be closer to home. Michigan was a little bit too far, and I really like the exercise science program here. But I was really excited to kind of reboost my passion for the game, playing for Mo.
And how important was it for you to be able to bring in a couple transfers that had experience at the college lacrosse level, with the rest of the roster obviously being mostly freshmen?
Yeah, that's huge. And Callie, we have 2 upperclassmen, and that's it. And those 2 ladies have really stepped up into the role of just kind of, teaching the ladies the ways and in different ways that are, off of the field and outside of lacrosse even, and just, how to act and how to carry yourself around campus.
And Callie, from your experience, what's sort of the difference, the biggest difference that the players will have to adjust to after having played at the high school level and transitioning here to college games?
Honestly, I think the biggest thing is time management, because you have to keep your priorities on line with your schoolwork and making sure that you're still taking care of your body. And so just really making sure that you can stay on top of your homework and stay on top of getting in extra workouts outside of practice and just working hard in every aspect.
And, lacrosse has certainly grown quite a bit at the high school level in the state, and there's more and more interest in it. And you're going to have a lot of students, knowing about the new program, probably wanting to check it out when you start playing inside the bubble in February. What would you kind of say to your fellow student athletes, that will be exciting to see about lacrosse, and if they come on out to games this year?
We really appreciate all the support that we can get. We kind of spread the word, just saying hey, come watch our games and stuff. And we try to make it to other teams' games too, to kind of we'll support them, they support us.
And Coach, for you, just as you kind of approach that first game on February 10th, what's your biggest priority between now and then as you try to get the team ready for that?
Yeah, that's a good loaded question. Our biggest priority is to just make sure our ladies feel comfortable when they step on the field for that very first game. On all aspects in the field. And so we've already started to implement our systems on the offensive and defensive side. But that's the first baby step to a whole lot more. And they need to feel comfortable, and they need to be able to capitalize and be creative in different situations and scenarios that play off of those. And that just comes back to practice, and getting after it and working hard in the fall.
All right, well, I'm sure we'll talk to you more about those games as they get closer on future shows, but appreciate you both for joining us here today, and good luck as you continue to prepare for the season.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Mo Dunnigan and Callie Laval joining me here on Golden Bear Insider, and that'll pretty much do it for the show. Certainly want to thank all of our guests as we were able to cover the 6 different sports here this month. Hope you enjoyed it. Again, we will try to be here for the first week of every month. I think we'll generally do the shows on Thursdays, but again, you'll be able to catch them on demand as well. The links will be up here on the website, cugoldenbears.com, so you can either watch live or on demand as well. So appreciate you joining us here this month. This has been Dan Flanagan, and you've been watching Golden Bear Insider.